Gretchen, when you were singing, it reminded me of Maya Angelou's quote, "People will forget what you say. They'll forget what you do, but they will never forget how you make them feel." And that's just what we're talking about. You know, love is so easy until other people are involved. Then it gets a little tough. But there's really, I'm sure you've all felt it, there's a cry out in our world today for us to both wake up, awaken, and surrender to the things that we've already been given. And as Susan said, we're born from love. We're made from love. So love and beauty and integrity and kindness and harmony and peace, we had to wake up to those things. It doesn't mean we're never sad, because remember the thorns? The thorns are part of the beauty of the rose. So part of life is learning how to get through those tough times and still feel filled with love. You know, in our language, love is a really hard word, because I can say, which both of these are extremely true, I love ice cream. I love my husband and my daughter. And I love God. So love gets kind of confusing, right? Because it's like on this spectrum of love. But what we're looking at today is the love, well, you know, if you look at those people we have hanging on the wall, it's probably spiritual icons. Hindu, Buddhist, Catholic, Baptist, atheist. You could say they're courageous, right? They're smart, right? Strong. But I think what you'd say about all of them is they're loving. They love life. And it's a love intelligence that's much bigger than the small, limited love we have, the physical human love from our human side that's wonderful sometimes and then hurts like heck sometimes and leaves us feeling creepy sometimes. I'm talking about the love that fulfills us, the love of spirit. So we're talking about human love and spiritual love. Today I want to focus on the spiritual love. Now, if I asked you right now to look to your neighbor, which I'm not going to ask, so don't bother, but if I asked you and said, please define love, what would you say? Probably what you were feeling in the moment, you know, how your experiences were going, what state you were in at that time. Yet if we defined real love right now, it would be very, very difficult to explain. It's limitless. It's boundless. It's eternal. It never dies. It is almost incomprehensible because it's a mystical experience. It's something that lifts you up. It brings things together because it is, I read this and I thought it was so cool. Ubiquitous oneness. Doesn't that sound just everywhere? You can't, when you're in that state of love, you can't not feel at one with everything and all life. And that's what we're talking about today. But when we get into that, you know, on the spectrum of love, when we get into that lower vibration of love, that's when we feel those barriers, the illusion of separation. And then when we're looking at love from our physical eyes and we're going, I'm alone. I need someone to love to make me feel whole. You know how that is. Yet when you go to the other end of the spectrum and you're filled with spirit, I am love and I have so much to share. That's when you become what I called a holy spark. That's a vehicle, a vessel, a distributor, an instrument of divine love. That's what we get to do when we fill ourselves up. But it takes practice, practice, practice. We have to find the invisible thread which weaves together those barriers of separation. You see, separation comes from that ego mind. While we have this self-identity, do you know what I mean? Of who we are and what we like, people we like, what we expect, those silly expectations. And we have those parameters around our life, and if things don't fit into it, we get really upset. I have a few other words we could put around there, but we get really upset. So that kind of love is going to keep us limited and separated. But if we go into that spiritual love, and we're all here because we know there's a spiritual part of us that wants to be part of something greater. When we get to that spiritual love, we know there's nowhere we have to go. Because just like this, it comes to us when we're available. It comes to us when we allow ourselves to be in that flow, to be in the flow. You know, divine love is a two-way street. I almost told Rumi he was going to have to be my second favorite mystic for a while, because I got a great book from a friend, our systematic theologian here. I'm only borrowing it, but it's from a Jewish mystic, Dr. David Cooper, who is, he's still alive and practicing his Jewish mysticism, and I just love what he says. He says, in Jewish mysticism, we think there's a universal connection between all things. Hello, isn't that what all the mystics teach? But he wrote a book called God is a Verb, and he calls it about godding life, being present and available in your highest way in the world. I mean, he writes much more intelligent than that, but that was fun to say anyway. But God is a verb. It's about not what you can get from life. You know how often we think of what can I get, what's mine to get. And it's fun. Yes, that's part of life. But he said, this is about how can I be fully alive, fully present to life, being alive. It's an interactive verb. And if we think about the world, you know, the natural intelligence of the world, the physical natural intelligence is collaboration. Our body would not work. We wouldn't have a physical functioning body if our cells didn't collaborate with each other, correct? We'd have no plants growing outside if the seed didn't cooperate and collaborate with the soil, with the water, with the sun, with all of that. It's a collaborative process, and spiritual intelligence is just the same. Spiritual intelligence, which would be equal to God, and God is equal to love. So you could say spiritual intelligence is spirit, is God, and it's love. Spiritual intelligence also is collaborative. So I heard a proverb, it's a Buddhist proverb, but which I think describes what we're talking about really well, about love. It's all about the love, the spiritual love. It says, love is like a bird with two wings. One wing is wisdom, and one wing is compassion. If either wing is broken, the bird cannot take flight. The bird cannot fly. And to me, wisdom means the best of our head, the best of our mind, the best thinking we can do when we're in alignment with what is good and right and true. And the other wing is compassion. And compassion is the highest activity of the heart. Compassion is when you feel part of one another. You're not weighted down by the weight of the world and the sorrow, but you feel it and understand it and know that we can all do something about it. So 2 wings, wisdom and compassion. Are you ready to fly? Yeah, we are, because we've all got that in us, and we just need to keep that going. So I'll tell you 2 things. Ernest Holmes said, love is the light of the world. It is the central flame of the universe. Love is the base of everything and a cosmic force. It is the fundamental on which all else is based. We can't take it lightly. Now, I know I said I wasn't going to mention Rumi, but I can't help myself. Rumi said, and this is from his book, The Alchemy of Love, he said, love transforms all who are touched by it. Mundane concerns, troubles, and sorrows dissolve in its presence. Love brings joy to the ruler and ruled, to the peasants and the king. All evils transform into goodness. You know, the love that resides in each and every one of us, that spark of holiness, the spark of the divine, I don't know if you can feel it without going into that place of meditation, but it's a yearning for completion. It wants to be whole. It wants to be in harmony. When we're down here with the barriers of illusions of separation, we're out of balance because we're not in alignment with what's true and right about ourselves. But this love wants to be whole and complete and interactive and collaborative with itself and all of life. That's what we feel. It wants that. And our responsibility here is to find the spiritual practices, the contemplation, meditation, prayer, the readings, walking in nature, the beauty, whatever it is that brings you in alignment with God, to practice that. So no matter what's going on in our life, we can tap into that love that is spirit. I don't know how many people came in here today with a pain, an emotional pain, a physical pain, a pain of the world, but I don't know a single pain or ailment that can't be healed by the healing presence of God's love. God's love for humanity is ever present always. We choose if we're going to claim it or not. It's our free will, and I hope we choose to love completely. I hope that for each and every one of us, because that's the opportunity we have right now. So when we step into Valentine's Day, there's one person I want you to love the very, very most. You know who I'm going to say. That's you. Start out and appreciate how special you are. That you have unique gifts that nobody else has. And you are here on purpose. You are here for a reason. I want you to start right there. Because when you say, I love myself, you can't help but loving me too. Because that's the way it goes. That's the collaborative truth about love. And when you love somebody else because you already know that about yourself, that person in their own way can't help but loving you back, even if they don't show it in the way that you want it from your other form, if you know what I mean. We're here to be in that beautiful essence. So, I think it would be really nice if you all stood up. And I think it would be nice if we just take a beautiful stand for love today. Do you think the world needs more love?
Yes.
Oh, what?
Yes.
I do too. So let's start it. Let's start a movement right now to be in that place of love. Because if we claim that we are loving, loved, and lovable, it starts right there. When you know the truth about yourself. So we'll just start. I'll say it and then you say it. I am loved, loving, and lovable.
I am loved, loving, and lovable.
I feel God's loving presence.
I feel God's loving presence.
Right here. Right now. And always. I am an instrument of that love, that light, that goodness. I'm a holy spark. And so are you. And you, and you, and you. And let me start right now by telling you, without question, I love each and every one of you completely. As strange and weird as we all are, we're in this together, and we love each other, and it's perfect right now. So you've already done it. You've taken the hands of people here. Let's just, right now, just make a whole line right here, because our prayer is going to be really simple today. I just want you to feel your hands held together. I want you to feel your heart beating, and allow the beat of your heart just beat love. acceptance, surrender, awakening, goodness, joy, beauty, kindness, integrity, wholeness, completeness, beauty, and light. Just circle it through this room. And then seeing it as it comes around, returning to you, and it absolutely fires out of you and lights this world. Oh, it is at this time we say, thank you, God. Thank you, God, for this community, for bringing us together. Thank you, God, for this knowing and understanding that God is all there is, and we are a beautiful, dynamic representation of all that is. How good it is to be alive. How good it is to be here and to be together. I'm just knowing for each and every person we are filled right here, right now, with light, with love, with knowing beyond measure that our spiritual intelligence is alive and awake. And on that note, we simply squeeze each hand. We say, thank you, God. And we release this by saying, and so it